Good evening. Welcome to this Ask the Expert event focused on cancer support and survivorship. Tonight, in honor of Cancer Survivorship Month, a panel of experts will share helpful information about cancer survivorship and a vast array of cancer support services offered by Mary Washington Healthcare, free of charge to our community. We will also answer your questions live. To submit a question for our panel, simply drop it in the chat here on Facebook. First, let's meet our panelists. First, we have Dr. Bonny Moore, a hematology and oncology specialist with Hematology-Oncology Associates of Fredericksburg. From the Mary Washington Healthcare Regional Cancer Center, we have Tiffany Farrell, a cancer nurse navigator and registered nurse. We are also joined by Pamela Hutchinson, a licensed marriage and family therapist and certified clinical hypnotherapist who provides therapy services to Mary Washington Healthcare Regional Cancer Center to their patients and their loved ones. Next, we have Carole Griffin, a cancer survivor and the registered nurse clinical manager for Mary Washington Palliative Care. And finally, we have Steve Scheibe, a prostate cancer survivor and dedicated member of the Mary Washington Healthcare Man-to-Man Prostate Cancer Support Group. Welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening. Dr. Moore, I'd like you to start the program. A diagnosis of cancer is frightening. Many people feel isolated and alone. Could you share how seeking support services can impact a patient's fight against cancer?
Hi, thank you for having me. I think one of the things that when someone's first diagnosed is how overwhelming it is, and sometimes you don't know what you're going to need because it's all new to you, it's new to your family, and every person with cancer comes to the table with different needs, and with a different diagnosis and with different barriers. And so, our Cancer Navigator program is really wonderful. They sometimes can find what you didn't even know that somebody needed, whether it's, someone getting a counselor or transportation or things that come up because, our medical system is so complex. There's always something that pops up and you're just trying to get somebody from point A to point B, get them to treatment, get them feeling well, get so many things accomplished. The Navigator program provides a ton of support.
Yes, thank you. That's really important. And what is your recommendation for patients who are cautious about seeking out support services?
I think that it's always scary when there's an unknown. Cancer is an unknown, and all of a sudden having a lot of people involved in your life can be overwhelming as well. But there's no, if you use a service, there's no commitment to it, right? It's not that if you try something, if you meet with a dietitian or you meet with a counselor or there's nothing that says you have to keep doing that. And so I encourage people to at least try, because there's no harm, there's nothing lost in trying. And most of the time, say 9 times out of 10, everyone is very happy with the support that they find.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. That's important advice. Next, Tiffany, we'll move over to you. Dr. Moore mentioned cancer nurse navigators. How does a cancer nurse navigator support a patient with cancer?
Sure. So there are actually 4 of us here at the Cancer Center, all registered nurses. And basically, we're here to help the patients navigate through their journey. And it can be before, during, and after treatment. So some of the support services that we have here, which we'll talk to soon, is we have a licensed therapist. We have 4 different support groups for people with different types of cancer to have specific sites. We have integrative medicine that's like massage and Reiki, yoga, things like that. We have a registered dietitian here that offers nutrition counseling. We have genetic counseling. We have a financial counselor that helps patients tap into financial resources like charity or, help apply for Medicaid or disability if need be. We have a transportation assistance, we have a wig room, we have a bra fitter, lots of different services that we have.
Thank you, Tiffany. It sure sounds like you all are busy over there. Is this service only for Mary Washington healthcare patients?
So we offer services to anybody that lives in our community.
Oh, that's wonderful. How much does it cost to work with a cancer nurse navigator?
All of our services are free, no charges.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good to know. Is there a specific support service you wish more community members knew about?
I would definitely say the support groups. I think that, there's a lot to be said about talking with other people that are going through the same journey that someone is going through. And I think just having that camaraderie with people that understand, as well as our support groups often offer guest speakers. So I think just having some extra resources and information is always helpful.
Thank you. Pamela, you provide counseling to patients and their families. What would you tell someone who's maybe hesitant about seeking therapy?
The diagnosis of cancer is a very traumatic experience for most people. They don't realize how traumatic that has. So that has an emotional impact on their lives. They will do all of the medical treatment. We have wonderful oncologist specialists in all areas that are wonderful and caring. But also for the role of the emotional impact. So my role as a therapist is to support cancer patients' emotional needs as they cope with this trauma. It's a big impact on people's lives. Yes, there's a lot of variation in the type of cancer and what kind of treatment that you're going to have. But I, help people or assist people that are undergoing, that first get diagnosed and they're in a crisis mode while they're undergoing their treatment. And, as they become the survivor, in the sense that they are only on ongoing treatment, or they may have completed their treatment for their cancer. It's very common that people feel very anxious and depressed about getting that. This is often the first time that people have had to face the fact, the big C word means, am I going to die? Am I going to survive? It is very overwhelming because people haven't looked at that most of the time, no matter what their age is. You can feel very overwhelmed by all the information that's given to you, trying to make the decisions about should I have this treatment or not? Is it the best not? There's the medical professionals are trying to give you all the best information, and they spend a lot of time with the patients. I'm sure Dr. Moore would agree with that. It takes a lot of time, but people get to feel during the treatment, they get to feel very anxious. Is my cancer going to go into remission? Is it going to go away? How is my life going to change? What's the future going to be for me? Am I going to have a cancer reoccurrence? All of these are emotional issues, and that's what I'm working with the patients.
Thank you. Thank you. It's important. Carole,
Can I
yes.
tell them about the therapy? So why is therapy helpful? Well, I help people deal with their strong emotions, because some people go into terrible panic attacks. They don't know, how am I going to speak to people? How do I tell my family? How do I tell the people that I work with? How do I advocate for myself? So I help support people do that. People need to manage their stress. This is a traumatic experience. So from that point of view, if you haven't really had to deal with traumatic experiences, or maybe you have some kind of resilience, then there are different therapies. I use all kinds of interventions to help the patient, to help the patients. I'm a hypnotherapist, so I use progressive relaxation, EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. All are evidence-based modalities. There is a lot of scientific research about mind-body connections, and so mindfulness is very helpful. All of these different tools to teach people how to do it. A lot of people, it throws all of their life coping skills, so I help them reestablish their coping skills, how to problem solve what comes up, within their families, what happens at their work. So there's a lot of different things. So some people's cancer treatment goes on maybe for a year. And so it's not that there can be financial involvement, and people get very stressed about financial arrangements, that they need some kind of support. We have, as Tiffany mentioned, a financial counselor. That some people, it's more, can I speak to you? A lot of people find that as they're going through treatment, that they've expressed their emotions to different family members, that they feel it's a burden to them if they keep talking about it. So I am an active listener and able to, okay, it doesn't matter how many times you say it, you can say it 50, 100 times, how you're feeling in the same way. And that's perfectly fine with me. I allow people, to be able to cry in the sessions. That can be very difficult for men. I see obviously, quite a lot of male patients who can't feel that they can cry at home or at work. So this is a safe place for them to do that. So it's a safe place for people to be able to express their emotions. And that's why it's a little different to the support groups, because the support groups are very helpful. That some people feel that they can't express their emotions in the same way in those groups. So the individual, the couple, or a family, and I help support the caretakers, the spouses, the partners of, and sometimes I'll see the adult children. I have also seen young children with the patient to help them talk to their family members about cancer and their treatment.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. It sounds like you really provide an important service. Carole, you're the clinical manager at Mary Washington Palliative Care. Can you explain to the folks at home what palliative care is?
So when I think of palliative care, I think of comfort. So really, palliative care is a medical approach to optimize patients' quality of life. So we look at not only the patient, but their family. We look at their disease process, because most of these people are facing a life-threatening illness, as they've all mentioned prior to me. So they can have palliative care even during the same time that they're having curative care. So maybe a cancer patient going through chemo or radiation. So here at Mary Washington, we have an inpatient palliative care made up with Dr. Anson Pham. He's our medical director. We have 4 nurse practitioners. We have 2 licensed clinical social workers and myself. And in the near future, our goal is to also expand to have more outpatient as well. So we're working on that. But palliative care, when you think about it, you think about comfort and quality.
And how do people know if they're in need of palliative care or if a loved one is?
So in the hospital, the referrals come in from like physicians like Dr. Moore, different ones. And usually the patient's suffering a life-threatening illness, having a lot of discomfort, not only pain, but also emotional support is needed, or a lot of spiritual support. So we do bedside consults with them to educate. We also provide a lot of information on advance directives, living wills, what their wishes are. So when those palliative care needs are requested, then we're able to go and provide education for the families and the patients as well.
Thank you. Is palliative care covered by insurance?
Yes, most of the time Medicare covers palliative care, but also there's instances where private insurance or Medicaid will cover. So, people can check with their insurances to see.
Thank you. And on a more personal note, as a cancer survivor, what wisdom and encouragement would you like to share with someone who is facing a cancer diagnosis?
Even though I was a nurse and even though I gave chemo for years and even though I was well educated, the one thing I can say is when you receive that cancer diagnosis, anything and everything you've ever known gets blown out of the water. So my comments on that is don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help and support, especially not just for the physical part you're going through with your physician, but also the psychosocial and spiritual part. Heal the soul is how I put it. But and not only for me, but for the family, your husband, your children, your grandchildren, all those. So seek out that support. And it's really something that I encourage everyone to not just bottle it up, but to really be able to talk about it and share. And it makes a world of difference.
Thank you, Carole. That's excellent advice. Steve, we are so honored to have you here tonight. You are a prostate cancer survivor and Mary Washington healthcare patient, and you're a frequent member of the Man-to-Man Prostate Cancer Support Group. How did the support group help you through your cancer journey?
Well, once I got the diagnosis, and that was 17 years ago, one of the first things I did was to seek out the Man-to-Man support group. There were so many people there that had so many different stages of cancer, all the way from early to advanced, the different therapies. We had a chance to talk to each person, find out what the good parts of it, or what the downsides were, whether ED was a result. I guess just to be able to talk to another man to find out what they've gone through and know in the family situation, anything we could do to give them positive feedback, try to give them good information, not the scary parts of it.
Thank you. And in addition to the Man-to-Man prostate support group, which support services did you utilize as a patient here?
Well, I've been blessed to use the massage therapy part of it. The priority is people that are active treatment patients, but I guess once they expand their hours, I can go back and get a massage again.
That's great. And I'd like to now ask you the same question I asked Carole. As a cancer survivor, what wisdom and encouragement would you like to share with someone facing a cancer diagnosis?
Don't be afraid to seek advice, especially from a support group. You're not on the journey alone. People that have the cancer have gone through the thing. They know what they're facing, what they can do to make life better and easier. Cancer is not always a death sentence. Especially prostate cancer, if it's found early, it's perfectly curable. The surgeries nowadays are a lot easier. It's a couple of days stay at the most. If you're doing radiation, a lot of men have shared their 42 different stays for their radiation, and they've done it with a positive outlook.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Now we're having some questions begin to roll in from our audience. Let's see. Dr. Moore, this seems like a good question for you. How are patient support needs assessed?
So I would say it really is a continual assessment, the needs that you have at your first appointment when you may just be getting a diagnosis or may just be finding out what the plan is. You may not know, we both may not know, or whoever your oncologist is may not know what all your needs are, and the patient and family may not know. But as treatment changes, as side effects happen, as there's work issues or financial issues or family issues, really at every appointment, or if there's issues in between, patients, I would encourage them to talk to their oncologist or their oncologist team and really let them know, hey, I need help with this. And I think remembering that survivorship is a broad term. I don't know if we really talked about what survivor means, but for most definitions, it's anyone living with cancer, and there's a lot of Americans living with cancer. I think it's getting close or projected to be close to 20 million people. So even with people who have incurable cancer, many are living for years, 5, 10, 15, 20, depending on what you're being treated for. And so as your family changes, as your treatment changes, as everything changes, your needs too may change.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Tiffany, is there a specific support group for ovarian or uterine cancer?
Our support groups are, we have breast health, but I guess that one would be more of the coping together support group. But if someone has a specific question, they can always reach out to the Cancer Center and we can get them hooked up with the appropriate support group.
Thank you. Pamela, do you see patients after their cancer journey to help them mentally get back on their feet?
Yes, I do. You're always able, even if it's some years later. I've had people where it's many years, just like Stephen, from that point of view. Yes, you're always eligible to seek my services.
Thank you. Tiffany, if I wanted to sign up for a cancer support group, how would I go about doing that?
So I believe there should be some information on our website, but otherwise they can contact Sandy Davis as our support group coordinator here. And all of that information should be on the website with the specific times and dates.
Thank you. How can I get in touch with the Cancer Nurse Navigator if I'm interested for myself or a loved one?
So they can just contact the Regional Cancer Center. Again, I believe we should be able to share that contact information. But yep, if they just call up here, they'll get you in touch with one of us and we can get you in touch with the right support services.
Wonderful, thank you. Pamela, we just had another question come in for you. How can I encourage my family member to seek out services? Can I come with them to support?
Yes, most definitely. I often have spouse or a partner come. I have people that where their parent is a more, a senior over 65 or 60. They will have an adult, child come that's able to come. I also have had the cancer patient come with their children that are under 18. So that they can explain the information in a little way that the child can understand, because I am familiar with working with children as well.
Thank you. Well, it looks like we're coming to the end of our time here. I would like to thank our panelists for sharing your time and expertise. And thanks to you, our viewers, for tuning in to Ask the Expert. If you have questions about Mary Washington Healthcare's cancer survivorship or support services, we invite you to visit our website for additional resources. You can find us online at cancersurvivor.mwhc.com. And be sure to watch the Mary Washington Healthcare Facebook page and other social media channels to stay informed of the latest health and wellness information for our community. And again, a final reminder that June is National Cancer Survivor Month. This month, we honor all those who are surviving today. Please stay safe and healthy and have a good night.